HealthNuts, welcome back to my channel. I'm Nicole, in case you're new here, and I'm very excited for today's video because we are making a family-friendly casserole dish that you seriously need to make. And even if you don't live with other people, you should make this and just have your meals prepped for the entire week. So we are making a lentil chili cornbread casserole. It is actually Meatless Monday, so it's very appropriate for today's video. But this is such a great hearty dinner recipe that you can't even tell there's no meat in it. And you guys know I'm not vegan or vegetarian, but it's really nice to kind of just lighten it up and switch out all that meat that we're just so used to eating with every meal. And this is a recipe that you can serve for your friends and family, for a gathering, if you're having people over or bringing it to a party, and no one will know, like no one will even think that there's no meat in it. They'll just enjoy it and think, oh, that was really good. And then afterwards you're like, hey, that was vegetarian. So I know you guys are gonna love this recipe, and I love that it just like all bakes together in one casserole dish in the oven. I mean, you gotta like make the cornbread and the chili separately, but it bakes all together, and it's just one of those like really easy meals to throw together on a weekend or a Monday night, and I know you guys will love it. So let's hop right in and I will show you guys how easy and delicious this recipe is to make. So the first thing we're gonna start with is the lentil chili. In a large saucepan, I'm gonna just heat up some olive oil. Next, I'm adding in my chopped up onion, as well as some red pepper. And I'm just gonna saute these two together just until the pepper starts to soften and the onion gets a little bit translucent. The flavor that is released from these two veggies is incredible, and when you just kind of cook them low and slow, they just are gonna be so flavorful in this dish. Next, we're adding in our spices, which of course are a key component to a delicious chili. So in here I have chili powder, smoked paprika, chili flakes, and ground cumin. As always, I'm gonna have the full written directions to this recipe linked down below in the info box. At this point, I'm gonna also add in my chopped up garlic. I don't like to add it in the beginning with the onion because I usually find it ends up burning, so I like to add it in a little bit later. And then I'm also adding in a good pinch of sea salt and black pepper. Saute this all together just for about a minute just to get fragrant, but you don't wanna burn it. Next, we're adding in a large can of some diced tomatoes, which FYI is not the same thing as crushed tomatoes. I've made that mistake in the past. I also have some tomato paste, our dried lentils, which I've rinsed very well, and I'm gonna add that in. You're basically just adding in the rest of your ingredients. This is a really easy chili recipe, and it just cooks all together really quickly. For some more plant-based protein, I have a can of black beans, red kidney beans, and the lentils with the beans are basically our replacement for the meat since this is a vegetarian dish. I'm then adding in some corn. I just like to use frozen because I find it's easiest. Juice from half of a lime. And one of my secrets to a good chili is to add in a little bit of maple syrup. It just adds a really nice sweetness to balance out the acidity from the tomatoes. And last but not least, I'm adding in some vegetable stock, which I always like to buy low sodium so I can control the salt in my dish. You're gonna bring this to a boil and then lower it down to a simmer with the lid partially on, and just cook that for about 30 minutes. This way the lentils will get nice and softened and the flavors will just all combine together. So while that's cooking, we can go ahead and start on our cornbread. For this cornbread, I'm gonna make a DIY buttermilk using soy milk with a little bit of apple cider vinegar. We're gonna set that aside to curdle and become buttermilk. Then in a large bowl, I'm gonna add in my flour. So for this recipe, I'm using millet flour, which is a new flour I've been trying out and I've been really enjoying it. It's gluten-free, it's nutritious, you should definitely try it out. And then for the star of the show, we're adding in some finely ground cornmeal. Now you wanna make sure you're not getting medium ground because it'll be too coarse. So I will link the one I used in the blog post. Next, to help it rise, I have some baking powder and baking soda, sea salt, and then just whisk it all together to combine. I'm gonna make a little well in the middle, and I'm gonna start adding in my wet ingredients. This just makes it so much easier to do it all in one bowl. So I'm gonna add in that buttermilk that I had curdling up on the side there. Just get that right in there. And then we have some avocado oil. For some sweetness, we have some honey. I honestly love honey in my cornbread. Every time I get it at a restaurant, there's always honey in it, and I knew I had to add that into this recipe. And then to just help it bind, you're gonna add in a couple of eggs and whisk it all together just until it combines And for a little fun kick and color, I added in 1 jalapeno that I de-seeded and chopped, and just fold that right in there. So now back to our chili. Everything's coming together really nicely. This is what it should look like. For the last 5 minutes, I just like to cook it with the lid off, just to kind of evaporate any excess liquid. You want this chili to be on the thicker side so it doesn't bleed over top of the cornbread. Transfer this into a large casserole dish, spread out the top evenly, and then go ahead and pour on top that delicious cornbread batter. Gently spread it out so it's evenly covered, and you're gonna bake this into a preheated oven until the cornbread is nice and baked. This is what it looks like when it's done. The top is nice and golden, and when you cut into it, the cornbread should be nice and cooked, and the chili underneath is just delicious and flavorful. And I don't know, this combination is delicious, and I know you guys are gonna love it. It's just been such a nice hearty meal to kind of end this cooler weather that we're having and come into spring. And like I said, it's so flavorful, you won't even know that it's vegetarian. So I'm gonna take a bite here. Oh my goodness, I've already been snacking on this. The sweet and spiciness in this dish goes so well together with the honey and the cornbread, and then the maple syrup and the chili. It's just like this little hint of sweetness, and it goes really good with the jalapenos and the chili flakes and the chili. It's delicious. You guys need to make this recipe. I'll have the full written recipe linked down below in the info box for you guys to check out. You can save it, print it, pin it, whatever you gotta do to keep it on hand. And if you guys aren't already subscribed to this channel, you can hit that red subscribe button down below. I post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And also, if you guys aren't already subscribed to our In a Nutshell newsletter, you can also do that in the info box. And basically, we send out weekly newsletters to your inbox of updates. Sometimes it's like exciting sneak peeks on things that we're working on, or just freebies, or just announcements, and you guys are like the first ones to know when you are part of the newsletter fam. So definitely sign up if you aren't already, and thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in my next video, and have a fabulous day. Bye guys.